The story of David and Goliath is one of the most enduring stories about courage and faith. It speaks to the human spirit's ability to overcome seemingly impossible obstacles. The Philistine army, led by the colossal Goliath, was ready to crush the Israelites. Fear gripped the hearts of experienced warriors. Goliath's size, dressed in bronze armor, was enough to intimidate even the bravest. Into this scene enters a young shepherd, David, armed only with a sling and stones. His brothers, who were part of the Israelite army, mocked his audacity. What could a boy, inexperienced in war, hope to achieve against an experienced giant? David, however, carried something far more powerful than any earthly weapon: an unshakable faith in God. This faith would become the foundation of his courage. David's faith was not blind optimism. It was rooted in a deep understanding of God's power and faithfulness. He had witnessed God's protection while tending his sheep, defending them from lions and bears. His faith was not a theoretical concept, it was a lived reality. When he faced Goliath, David declared, "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty." David's words reveal his conviction that victory does not depend on physical strength, but on the power of God. He believed that God was fighting for him, making him more than a match for Goliath. Even King Saul, initially skeptical, recognized the power of David's faith. He offered David his own armor, but the young shepherd refused, trusting in God's provision. David's courage came directly from his faith. He was not fearless. He was afraid, like anyone facing a formidable enemy. But his fear did not paralyze him. He chose to act despite his fear, trusting that God would honor his faith. David's courage was not recklessness. It was a calculated risk, rooted in his deep trust in God. He understood that true courage is not the absence of fear, but acting in spite of it. David's example reminds us that courage is not reserved for a select few. It is a quality available to anyone who chooses to trust in God. When we face our own giants, be it illness, financial hardship, or personal loss, David's story encourages us to stand firm, knowing that with God, even the most daunting challenges can be overcome. David's perspective was radically different from those around him. While others saw a terrifying giant, David saw an enemy of God. He refused to be intimidated by outward appearances. He saw beyond the physical to the spiritual reality of the situation. David understood that true strength does not lie in physical stature, but in one's relationship with God. This perspective allowed him to act with confidence and conviction. He did not rely on his own strength, he relied on the power of God. This is a crucial lesson for us today. When we face challenges, we often focus on the size of the problem, allowing fear to paralyze us. David's story teaches us to shift our perspective, focusing on God's power and faithfulness instead of the magnitude of our challenges. The story of David and Goliath is a timeless reminder that faith and courage are powerful forces. It teaches us that with God, even the most intimidating challenges can be overcome. David's story is not just a historical event, it is a model for living a life of faith and courage. It challenges us to face our own giants with unwavering faith, knowing that God is with us. David's victory was not just about defeating a physical enemy, it was about overcoming fear and doubt. It was about choosing faith over fear, courage over cowardice. His story continues to inspire us today, reminding us that with God, all things are possible. When we face our own Goliaths, let us remember David's example. Let us choose faith over fear and face our challenges with courage and conviction, knowing that God is by our side.